So hello everyone, I am Monica and here we are going to do this reading, children's literature, that was part of 25th February 2023 IELTS exam in India. But don't worry about your country also, it can be repeated in your country. So that doesn't matter. Actually you should know how to solve answers from reading passages. Okay, so as you know, I am Monica from IELTS 9. So at the end, if you have learned something from my video, then you subscribe and like my video. Okay, and in advance I am doing thank you for all these things. Okay, for doing any reading 20 minutes are required, but if the reading passage, this is reading passage 1, if the reading passage is 1, please try to finish this reading passage in 16 minutes. Don't take too much time for reading passage 1. And for reading passage 2, you can finish it, you can try to finish 18 or 20 minutes. If you have if you know how to paraphrase the things, do you know the simple words, synonym and all, then 18 minutes are enough for you. And don't worry, if you are thinking that you will get all correct answers in every reading, you can leave that answer, that question. If you are taking too much time for one question, then it will be a wastage of time. Then for passage 3 you will not be having enough time, because passage 3 is normally having 3 or 4 types of questions, and it's a longer difficult paragraph, you can say. So let's start this children's literature. I have just noticed it from website, and my students have already told, but questions may differ. I am not saying that same questions were there, because only reading name we can come to know that this was part of that day exam. Okay, so let's practice this reading passage. As you know, this reading is like that. This reading has been divided into smaller paragraphs, and then straight away, now no need to read the whole passage. Nothing, you should not read it initially. You will go to the type of question. First we will be looking at that. So first type of question we have complete the table below, and second type of question we have this list of people we have to match with list of statement. And third type of question we have here true false not given. This is true false not given. It means that reading must be passage number 3, I am sure, because there are 3 types of questions. So that is reading passage 3, but on website from where I have just downloaded, that is reading passage 1. That doesn't matter, but sometimes in reading passage 1 they are asking you 3 types of questions also. Let's do. So what is, now the question arises, what type of question you will be doing first? So I will be doing I am always doing to solve the reading passage right from the first type of question, because the examiner has designed your essay reading according to the questions. Now let's read it. Complete the table below. So here, complete the table below, no more than 2 words. We have to select either 1 word or 2 words, but not more than 2 words. So 5 questions are there. So date, feature, aim and example is there. So how we are going to do this? First we will be reading line wise. Okay, before 1700, this is the keyword, because these figuratively keywords are easy to find the location. But yes, don't worry about it, we will be going according to the passage wise also. So before 1700, not aimed at young children, education and morality. This now we know this. You also do reading with me because here fill in the blanks. 1 number question is here, 2 number is here, and 3 is here, and 4 is here, and 5 is here. So let's read it from here. By the middle of the 18th century. So middle of the 18th century. So collection of dash and dash. So here in blank and is also there. It means 2 words may be there combinedly. And sometimes they will be giving it in different way, but there will be collection of 2 things, collection of games and collection of something. Let's read it. By the middle of 18th century. First I will be looking for 1700, and then we will get 1800. 18th century, middle of 18th century. 18th century, it means you have to look for 18th century, means when we are writing about 1700 something like this, we are saying this 18th century. When we are writing this, we are saying it 19th century. So take care of these dates. So in first paragraph, as we can see, 1700 is also there, and I am looking for middle of 18th century. So pencil, because this is figure, so we can just find it. No, in first paragraph 18th is not there. Okay, by the middle of the 18th, same word is written in from the question statement. 18th century, there were enough eager child readers, enough parents glad to cater to this interest, for publishers to specialize in children's book whose first aim was pleasure rather than education or mortality. In Britain, a London merchant name, okay, produce this. Let's read it, what they want to say. By the middle of 18th century, collection of dash and dash feature, read for pleasure. They were reading it, a little pretty pocket book exported to dash. Okay. So exact location we have found. Eager child readers and enough parents glad to cater to this interest, for publishers to specialize in children book whose first aim was pleasure rather than education. And so collection of games, they were, games word is here, let's read it. Okay. This is middle of 18th century, 1742. While the more famous John published a pretty, this book is also there in 1744. Its content, rhyme, stories, children games plus a free gift. So games word was there, plus means and a gift. So collection of games and free gift we will be writing here. Okay, now for this, a little pretty pocket book exported to dash, little pretty pocket book in this exported to where they exported all the things, in ways anti-slip children's, it tribute to immediately pirated almost immediately in America. Let's read the location. So here, a little pretty pocket book exported to, so some place, so they are talking about from here, the book name is here, until we have read everything, so no place name is there, only America is here. So we will be writing here America. If we find another answer, then we can think about that, but this is final. Okay, early 19th century, a growing interest in dash. A growing interest in dash, to be more children centered, nursery rhymes and dash. Okay, so growing interest in 19th century, okay, and nursery rhymes. So we will be looking for 19th century. So this paragraph we have done for the question number 2nd, and now we are looking for third question, that is 19th century is in this paragraph. Okay, so let's read it from here. So 18th is also, but directly we have found the location, the word, why should we read over there? Let's read it. So moral story for children was always threatened from within, give the way for children, drawing out entertainment from Sternet's moralist. But the greatest blow to the improving children's book was to come from an unlikely source, indeed early 19th century. Okay, that same word it was given over there, interest in folklore. Growing interest in folklore. So here they have asked growing interest in folklore. Let's write it. Okay, to be more children centered, nursery rhymes. So now this is the word we will be looking for. So after that, so this is sure where you will get the previous question answer. After that you will get the next answer. Both nursery rhymes selected by this person for a folklore society and collection of fairy tales by, so we will be writing fairy tales. Let's write it fairy tales, because these are two words. No, this is one word actually, because this is, that's why it is one word. Okay, now let's read the next question. The late 1930s stories of harm-free dash entertainment. Okay, this person name, let's find it, and then we will be stories of dash. 1930s. Okay, so 1930s, where we can get 19. So in this paragraph 1930s, I can't read it, nothing is there about 1930s. Let's move to the next page. So here in next page 1930s I can see here. So stories of harm-free, stories of, okay, to be, okay, few demands, the final this of literary childhood as something to be protected from unpleasant reality came with the arrival in 1930s of child-centered bestsellers intent on entertainment as its most escapist in Britain novelists such as these persons name was there, this is also there. So stories of harm-free feature, stories of harm-free, so unpleasant reality, child-centered bestsellers intent on entertainment. Okay, let's read the question statement again. Stories of harm-free what feature? Stories of harm-free as something protected from unpleasant reality came with the arrival in the late. Harm-free protects, no, child-centered bestsellers intent on entertainment. Stories on harm-free entertainment. No, it's most, but okay, described children who were always free to have most unlikely adventures. Harm-free adventures secure in the knowledge nothing bad could ever happen to them at the end. During books popularity, okay, young characters. So stories of harmful, where stories they have written. Literary childhood protect reality came the centered sellers, novelist Crompton, who were always unlikely adventures, secure in the knowledge that nothing bad could have, okay, that is the thing, the stories of harm free, nothing bad could happen them to in the end. Harm free knowledge, maybe knowledge or maybe harm free adventures. The stories describe children who were always free. Okay, let's leave it. I will just do it at the end. Okay, or knowledge books greatest popularity fails to register. Okay, let's do it. Stories of harm free knowledge, or I will just find it at the end because I am wasting my time for one question. Okay, next question we have 6 to 8. Look at the following people and list of statements. So these are the list of people. So as we know, whenever we have list of people side by side, we should do underline. So this person name is also, when we were looking for first type of question side by side, this is our duty. This is the good thing when we are just underlining the person's name. Okay, now it will be difficult for me if I am looking it if I will be looking it from the first passage, but definitely person's name easily we can find: Thomas, Mrs. Sarah and Grimm brothers. Let's find it from first paragraph. So in first paragraph, person's name, because person's name will definitely start it from capital letters, two words with two capital letters somewhere. Yeah, Thomas, this we were looking for, and next we were looking for, yes, Mrs. Sarah Trimmer, and the third we were looking for this Grimm brothers. Okay, Grimm brothers, somewhere I have read it here, Grimm brothers. Yes, you can see this Grimm brothers. Okay, now we have location. Now let's read it from here what he is. Okay, before doing it, before going to read about that person, let's read these statements. Wrote criticisms of children's literature. Criticism of children's literature. Okay, some criticism he has written. Used animals, okay, to demonstrate the absurdity of fairy tales. Was not a writer originally. Translated a book into English. Didn't write in the English language. Okay, let's find it. First, this person. Who was this person? Okay, so from here, in Britain, a London merchant named Thomas produced khzanas, The Swedish giant in 1742, while the more famous Joe published, okay, in this rhyme stories, little pretty pocket book. In this, the Swedish giant, he was merchant. This, while the more famous new published in its content rhyme stories. So while the more famous John Newbery published, so this is something different. Actually, this person in Britain, a London merchant named this person name, and he was merchant. He was not a writer, I don't think so. The Swedish giant in 1742, is it a book name or is it something different? While the more famous John published a little pocket in his contents. Its contents rhyme stories children book. A ball in many was, okay, this we have read. It's a tribute to Newbery's flair that he hit a winning formula quite so quickly. So it means they are talking about this person, that somebody has released the book and he had sold these books with children's game plus a free gift. So I can just select one here. He was not a writer originally, so we can just put with 6 number. No, questions are this. In the answer sheet you will get these answers, so we have to put alphabets over there. C, I will be just giving it. Now Mrs. Thara Trimmer. So what is this? Mrs. Thara Trimmer, what she was saying, prominent among such voices was Mrs. Thara, whose magazines this was carried the first regular views of children's book. It was she who condemned fairy tales for their violence and journal her own stories. Fabulous histories described fabulous her own stories. Fabulous histories describe talking animals who were always models of sense and decorum. Okay, she was always talking, but she condemned also. So, wrote criticism. No, she who condemned. It was she who condemned, but she did not wrote. She wrote about animals. Use animals to demonstrate the absurdity of fairy tales. Who condemned fairy tales for their violence and journal for their own stories. Okay. If you don't know the answer, then I am confused between wrote criticism and use animal to demonstrate the absurdity of. So both can come. You have to select it, which one should come. Okay, I will use it A. Okay, and then we will look at the answer, because these two things were there. Okay, Grimm brothers, what he had done. Grimm brothers we have selected here. So both nursery rhymes selected by this for a folklore society. In this collection of fairy tales by scholarly Grimm brothers, swiftly translated into English. Yes, so that translated a book into English, it is given. So this we will be putting D. Okay, now let's move on to true false not given. So this is true false not given. First, children didn't start to read books until 1700. It means where we are going to look in the first paragraph. Okay, 1700 word was here, that's why first paragraph we will be look. So children didn't start to read books until 1700. If they didn't start to read books until this, true. If they started reading books in until this, then false. If they are not talking about when, at what time, at what year or century children started to read books, then not given will be there. Okay, so aimed at children have an exceedingly long history. For example, were sung in Roman times. A few nursery games rhymes were almost as ancient, yet so far as written literature is concerned, while there were stories in print before that, children often seized on when they had the chance, such as translation of this. So it means fairy tales, popular ballads, romances, they were not aimed at young people in particular, but we have found children didn't start to read books until, yes, they were, because before 1700 that Stories, while there were stories in print before 1700 that children often seized on, so it means they were reading books, it is false. Okay, now 10th, Sarah Trimmer believed that children's books should get good examples. So that we have already read, so that is true. So I will show you the location. So Mrs. Thara, she condemned fairy tales for their violence and journal this. Fabulous histories describe her own fabulous histories describe talking animals who were always models of sense and decorum. So moral story for children was always threatened. So no, we have to just read about Mrs. Sarah. So that is true. She was children's book should get sets good examples. Parents were concerned about the violence in children's book. Whether parents, so this is something different. Parents were concerned. Where parents we have found in passage, we have to find out. So here we have found Sarah. So let's find about parents. Threatened, drawing, greatest improving book was unlikely. So where parents were concerned about the violence in children book, violence is here. Critics uplifting such voices, no, parents, they are not talking about parents kind of thing. Younger children particular, what eventually determined the reading of older children was not availability of special children literature, young people or animals. But parents, I couldn't find anything about parents. Let's read the next paragraph also. So next page paragraph also I couldn't found the parents kind of thing were always free, scared, described. So other persons are described or many things, but parents, they are not described any parents kind of thing. Critical emphasizes most important task, others concentrated more on positive, no. So I will be putting it. So here also what they're talking about any parents. So I will be putting this answer for not given. Okay, although they were talking about violence in children's book, but parents were not worried. And next question, an interest in the folklore changed the direction of the development of children's book. An interest in the folklore. So folklore was in I have read folklore. Yeah, folklore here. Yes. So what the question is saying, an interest in the folklore changed the direction of the development of children's book. Okay, if the direction changed, yeah, 19th century interest in folklore, early 19th century improving children's book was to come from an unlikely source indeed. Okay, improving early 19th century interest in folklore, both nursery and everything was changed. So but the greatest blow to improving children's book was to come from unlikely source, early interest in folklore. So it means what we can write. So we can write here true. An interest in the folklore changed the direction of the development of interest. So early 19th century interest in folklore. Both, but the greatest blow, okay, let's moral story for children was always threatened from within, given the way children of having entertainment from more, but the greatest blow to the improving come from unlikely source indeed. Okay, unlikely source indeed. Early 19th century interest in folklore. Okay, something other, but an interest in folklore changed the direction of the, no, that is not the thing, it means it is false. Okay, that's why it is false. Today children's book writers believe their work should appeal to both children and adults. Okay, today, where we can get the today word. So today, so let's read the last paragraph. Mostly in last paragraph we will get today word. So in last paragraph we can see, okay, critical emphasizes and everything for some most of the important Okay, others concentrated more on positive achievements of contemporary means modern means today children's literature. That writers of those works are now often recommended to the attention of adult as well as child readers. Okay, so here they are saying book writers believe their work should appeal to both children and adults. Children and adult. These works are now often recommended to the attention of adults as well as child readers echoes 19th century belief children literature can be shared by generations rather than being a defensive barrier between. So yes, this is true. We can just write it true, or let's read it again. Today children's book writers believe their work should appeal to both children. These works are now often recommended to attentions. Okay, appeal means attention, so this is true. Okay, so that's the reading passage we have done, our children's literature.